Well, guys, I have finally completed Batman Arkham Shadow. It took me some time, took me almost a month, but honestly, it's worth the wait because I wanted to really enjoy the experience. I didn't want to force myself to play it because this is something that we've been wanting for a long time, right? A new Batman Arkham game. But today's video, I wanted to kind of give my overall thoughts on the game. It's kind of a game review, but it's not like super professionally well done. It's kind of just my thoughts on this game overall. But I did want to break this into three separate categories. That'd be the combat, the stealth, and the actual story itself. Now, the most important thing of them all is the actual story, because if I can't follow a campaign decently, then it doesn't really matter how good the combat is. And I think that's why for a lot of people a game like Batman Arkham Knight is not necessarily regarded as highly, because even though it's got fantastic combat and stealth, the actual story itself is where it kind of falls off a little bit. So, as you can see, the campaign is what matters the most, and that's what I'm going to be talking about first. And for those of you who do not want any sort of spoilers, I would click off right now, because there are going to be spoilers in this video, just talking about the overall campaign like I had mentioned. So, without wasting too much time, let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, when I first started playing this game, I was a little bit confused by us not playing as Batman and stuff, and how we were playing as some random guy we got arrested at the start of the game, right? As a guy named Irving Malone. Now, that is going to matter later on more so, but we do play as him. We actually destroy the bat signal. We get arrested for it. So, and it was under arson because it was with a Molotov cocktail. And I was kind of confused on like what was happening until I realized that Batman was trying to go undercover essentially as a prisoner because he wanted to get intel inside of Blackgate of who the Rat King is, because Batman had reason to believe that the Rat King was located inside Blackgate prison. And immediately your suspicions would be on someone who was in the prison, such as a Falcone type. However, it turned out he actually wanted to find out who the Rat King is just as much as anybody else, because he wanted to have control over his prison. And I think if he doesn't have control, then I think he doesn't handle it very well, I guess you could say. And something I really liked about this game, and I think it kind of did it on purpose, obviously, but because it was a sequel to an Origins game, I think it had to include some characters who had not been fully developed into evil people, I guess you could say yet, such as Jonathan Crane, Harleen Quinzel, Harvey Dent. These guys were quote-unquote the good guys still, and we got to see a lot of the transformation out of someone like Jonathan Crane, who really started to utilize fear, right? We had discovered that he was a university professor who had almost gotten fired, and he basically was trying to use fear on his students. I don't know the exact way he was doing it. I'm not that much into like science and that kind of stuff, but he was definitely trying to use fear in order to scare his own students, and he would have been fired, it said, if he just wasn't so brilliant. So it really did go to show you what Crane ends up becoming in Batman Arkham Knight, as you know, as well as, you know, he utilized the fear toxin on us. Like, we had an actual boss battle with this Batman Shadow figure. Roll credits, Batman Arkham Shadow. It was a Shadow Batman who basically was not against killing in any way, shape, or form, and I guess at that time that was Batman's biggest fear, I guess you could say, and Crane utilized that against him. But other characters as well, like Jim Gordon stuff, who doesn't get a whole lot of screen time in this game, and it's kind of unfortunate. I wanted to see more of him. Harvey Dent made his transition into Two-Face, and I wanted to talk about this because this is something that I've been saying I've been wanting. If you go back and watch my If I Wrote Batman Arkham Origins 2 video, I made Harvey Dent basically the main, you know, he's kind of the protagonist and turns into the villain at the end. I kind of like the way that they go about the whole how he becomes Two-Face thing. You know, Scarecrow tries to attack you. You, as Irving Malone, blocks the hit, and I don't know what it was in his hands, a type of chemical or something that caused an acid burn, essentially, on half his face, and turned Harvey into Two-Face. That in itself, this was all very well and good. The campaign was extremely well written for the most part. I really liked, you know, when you kind of made it to a certain point in the game, it would kind of tell you a story about Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne, and kind of tell you the abuse he went through and explaining why he is the way he is, how his father used the coin against him, beating him, presumably on multiple occasions. I thought it was a really nice touch. You meet a guy named Joe in this game, in the commissary, who you have to go to him multiple times, where essentially you run errands for him, and he will give you something, in order to get access to something like death row or something, or he'll give you a code to access a certain part of the prison because we're trying to find the Rat King. But he will help us throughout the course of this game, and it is revealed later on that this is Joe Chill. Now, for those of you who don't know who Joe Chill is, Joe Chill in Batman continuity is essentially the person who killed Batman's parents, which, yes, we do have her own crime alley scenes in this game that just rubs me the wrong way. But I'm gonna forgive it on this one. I'm gonna let it pass because we actually get to see the killer of Batman. But we don't do anything with him, unfortunately. We can't hit him. It is what it is. It's kind of sad, but you know, you move on. And in this game, Batman finally is going to start working alongside Oracle. He's very hesitant at first, and, you know, it kind of seemed like the lessons that he had learned in Batman Arkham Origins, he's almost kind of reverting back to his own old ways, but he realizes that Oracle is very smart. She's able to get into places that others can't, whether it's a specific crime scene, she's tracking down a criminal. She is, like, really one of the good guys, one of the only people in Gotham who aren't corrupt at the core and just want to see justice handed out. And she's very smart, she's very intelligent with a computer, very good at hacking, which can be very, very useful, especially in this day and age. So Batman finally brings her under his wing, which she does prove out to be very useful as well throughout the course of the game, decrypting certain files and stuff that Batman would not be able to do on his own, which I don't want to like get too nitpicky as well, but how the heck is there a Batcave as well underneath Blackgate Prison? Because there's one in Blackgate Prison, the actual Batcave. There's one on Batman Arkham Asylum. Like, Batman building all these caves on his own, I'm kind of wondering what else he has. Like, I understand he's a billionaire, but the chances of him hiring somebody else to build a Batcave for him is literally slim to none. I do not think it's possible at all, because then that could potentially reveal Batman's identity. And speaking of revealing Batman's identity, at the end of this game, when you find out Harvey Dent is the Rat King, you have to catch him basically on a roof with Joe Chill. He's about to execute Joe Chill, the guy who killed Batman's parents. But we stop him. Because we're Batman, we believe in saving everybody, and everybody can be rehabilitated. And Harvey doesn't really like this. He's like saying how he's doing it for Bruce. It's kind of a loyalty thing. And this is where we remove our cowl and reveal to Harvey Dent that we are Bruce Wayne, that Batman is Bruce Wayne, because he wants to show Harvey proof that Bruce Wayne does not want Joe Chill to be executed. Now, I do have a bit of an issue with this, and this is one of my only gripes with this game that I kind of wanted to talk about. The fact that we reveal ourselves, we get caught with our identity once again, and we kind of use the same excuse that Harvey Dent is suffering from memory issues. It's the same reason that Bane forgot about Batman's identity, Batman Arkham Origins, because it was a side effect of the TN1. But that's kind of explainable. Now, I don't know too much about the whole dissociative personality disorder that Harvey suffers from, but I don't know if it actually causes any sort of memory issues. It could. I could totally be wrong, and if I am, let me know down in the comments. But it kind of just feels like another convenient excuse for someone else to not know Batman's true identity, especially considering the fact that it's not mentioned throughout the other Arkham games that Harvey Dent suffers from some type of memory issues. And I think that you are less likely to have war with somebody if you can't even remember what you did with them yesterday. I don't know. It seems a bit weird, but I understand that they had to come up with some sort of reason and explanation as to why Two-Face does not know Batman's secret identity. And I get it. Now, I have one other gripe with this game that I want to talk about, and maybe nobody else noticed this. Maybe, I guess you could argue that it's something that occurs in other Batman Arkham games. And maybe it's just because it's a VR game that it kind of felt like a hassle and felt like filler in the game. I felt like this game suffered with a little bit of filler to make the story mode longer. And that was specifically when every single time we ran into an obstacle that we could not overcome, we had to exit said room and run for 2 to 5 minutes, however long it was, to get a gadget to then run back and deal with it. My issue with that is that it feels like it kind of breaks all sort of tension. It feels like it breaks the story that we have been building throughout the course of this game. So I kind of just wish that the developers had kind of been the one developer that could have Batman's gadgets on him, all of those gadgets, at the start of the game and give us tutorials early on. Or at least let it drop into the room or the very next room. Us having to go all the way across the prison or wherever you are to get a new gadget is egregious, and it's kind of annoying to deal with, to be honest. It just felt like that they added extra filler, just kind of for the sake of it, to add more time to this game. However, to be fair, I am being a little bit nitpicky and I'm being a little bit harsh. Overall, the story was amazing. I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, to be honest with you. Like, in terms of a VR game, this was absolutely spectacular. The story absolutely delivered on everything it needed to. I didn't have very high expectations for this game, simply because Gotham Knights kind of flopped in a way. Like, it was a good game, it was a decent game, but it kind of felt like it played it safe. Whereas for something like Suicide Squad, that game just flopped. It didn't even have any decent qualities to it, really. It kind of just straight up flopped. So we needed this game to work. And boy, is it gonna work. It is very, very good. And I haven't even talked about the combat and the stealth in this game. If you want to talk about the combat and the stealth in this game, honestly, it was done very, very well. And what I will say is, it's very similar to the other Batman Arkham games, in my opinion. Like, the strikes, they flow very nicely. You're able to strike from a decent distance overall. The actual punches that you can hit, in my opinion, were very good. The counters and everything were absolutely on point. Honestly, in terms of a VR game with the stealth and the actual combat, aside the takedowns, inverted takedowns, the ability to use gadgets, everything, it was basically perfect. I didn't really have any sort of complaints outside of one thing. I have one complaint, and it's not necessarily the game's fault. You could say I'm just trash, and I'll take that on the chin. That could absolutely be true. My one gripe with the combat in this game isn't the actual combat itself, not the stealth. The stealth is perfectly fine. I like it the way it is. But the stealth grinds my gear, or not the stealth, the combat grinds my gears sometimes when I'm throwing punches and I will throw the hook that the game will want me to throw, and it'll tell me the wrong direction. Or if I use my right arm, sometimes that'll tell me the wrong direction too, just because of the angle of how I throw the punch. And for someone like me who's a huge fan of combat sports as well, it just felt really annoying to be told that I was doing this the wrong way, that I wouldn't throw it technically at the perfect angle, so therefore it's the wrong direction and I lose my combo altogether. But that's me again being very nitpicky. I could just be trash and just don't know how to punch as well as I thought I did. But I had a lot of fun beating up thugs, because the one thing about this that I've liked a lot was the fact that I could feel myself getting frustrated with dealing with these bad guys, and so I would actually punch harder at them to make them feel that pain and suffering that, you know, as Batman, you almost want them to feel that pain. Not kill them, but make them feel the pain. Because this game, by far, does the best job of making you feel like Batman. Because of the fact that you're playing in the first-person point of view as Batman, playing it on the VR is going to do you the best service in terms of actually making you feel like the Dark Knight, even better than the other games, in my opinion. And guys, these are my thoughts on Batman Arkham Shadow overall. I got more videos to come, more topics overall to discuss on this game, because I'm honestly very intrigued by this, and I got some videos to make on this for sure. I'm going to re-rank the Batman Arkham games in order with the inclusion of Batman Arkham Shadow. I'm going to make a video talking about all the endings. I'm going to rank them from 5 to 1, worst to best, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to make a video ranking a lot of stuff now with this out, and I'm very excited for that, and I hope you guys are too. So make sure you guys subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year. I just want to say thank you guys so much for everything, because without you guys, I have nothing. I enjoy making these videos for you, and I hope you guys enjoy watching them. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and turn on all the bell to get all notifications, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!